In the space of a few hours, the British suffer 57,000 casualties.
Another reaction Epic History TV, World War I, let's get it. Continuation.
World War I was supposed to have been a short and glorious war. But by 1960, a new kind of industrialized warfare had seen the death toll soar into the millions, with no...
Bro, it's crazy to me how freaking, like, everyone expected World War I to be like this, to be like, whatchamacallit, is it 19th century warfare, and that's just completely, like... completely no. Honestly, I feel like people should have gotten the hint that World War I or any war that was gonna come of it was gonna be like very much different when the Gatling gun was invented in the Franco-Prussian War, but I guess no one got the hint.
To end in sight. Naval blockades were beginning to cause shortages of food and fuel across Europe.
Yeah.
While thousands of women had entered the workforce, replacing the men sent to fight in their millions.
Alright, so I'm glad that he pointed this out, right? Honestly, this is like one of the reasons why women being in the army is like a bad idea. Because when the men are fighting out in the fields, bro, like, you need manpower to make these weapons and whatnot, right? So, you know, like, and this is another thing, like, women aren't like completely useless when it comes to like warfare. Typically, they're quite excellent with, again, this type of stuff that we see right here. So I'm glad that he's pointing this out, because I see a lot of people saying that, you know, oh, women don't have to sign up for the draft, yada yada yada. Honestly, bro, look, I don't want women in the army. Like, I just don't want women in the army. I'm not saying that in a bad way. I'm just saying that I don't want women in the army because I feel like it'll be more of a detriment rather than a benefit, and they'll be much more better like working in the factories, producing the stuff for the army. So please don't take that in the wrong way.
All sides were preparing for a long war. The war has raged for a year and a half as the Allies continue to battle the Central Powers, recently joined by Bulgaria. At sea,
I'm probably going to be reacting to like individual battles by World War I, just to get a much more in-depth look at it. I've done World War I front lines. That was really cool. That was actually like really cool. Gave me a much more better perspective on it. So like, this is gonna be like my only World War I like thing that I react to.
The British maintain their naval blockade of Germany, preventing the import of food and other vital raw materials.
Okay, why? Because Germany had U-boats. Why couldn't Germany use U-boats to trade, right? To circumvent that blockade, right? I know that U-boats were designed for raiding, and Germany did have its own blockade on the British Isles. I always wonder, like, why didn't Germany try to like make a new design type of U-boat? And I'm sure this is possible, right? Like, why didn't Germany try to make a new design for that? You know, even in World War II as well. Because I know in World War II, Germany used U-boats to trade, right? So, like, why didn't no one? I don't know. Unless they did, and I'm just ignorant about it. Like, why didn't Germany like do that? You know, like, think about it. Like, U-boat merchant fleet. I think that's possible.
Germany has retaliated with a U-boat blockade of Britain, but has to limit its attacks to avoid provoking the neutral USA, whose citizens have already been caught in the crossfire.
Bro, oh my gosh, look, I said this in my last video. Why are you even going to Britain in the middle of a war, right? Like, I feel like America just used this excuse just to join the war on the Entente side. Like, America was clearly biased towards the Central Powers and Entente in both world wars. Let's be real here, folks. Like, come on now.
On the Western Front, French, British and Belgian troops are dug in opposite the Germans, both sides trapped in the bloody stalemate of trench warfare. On the Eastern Front, the Russians have ended their long retreat and stabilized the line, but their army has suffered huge losses.
You know, a lot of people talk about how Germany had like massive gains in the Eastern Front of World War One, but personally speaking, I say that the Russian decision to retreat, known as what was it called, the 100 Days Retreat, right? I could be wrong, but I feel like the Russian decision to retreat to shorten the front was actually a pretty good idea. A lot of people don't give credit to the Russians for that, really and truly. Let's continue.
On the Italian front, Italian troops have launched a series of costly, unsuccessful attacks against strong Austro-Hungarian defenses.
I think this is like the only front that the Austro-Hungarian fronts, the Austro-Hungarians were like actually like efficient at. Every other front, the Austro-Hungarians were bad.
Central powers have overrun Serbia, whose army is forced to make a bitter retreat through the Albanian mountains.
Oh, Troy Giga Chat, Serbia holding out for that long.
Now, on the 5th of January, Austro-Hungarian troops attack Montenegro. They are delayed at the Battle of Mojkovac, but 3 weeks later, Montenegro is forced to surrender.
Why would they attack Montenegro? What?
On the Caucasus front,
why would they do that? Someone please explain that to me. What did Montenegro have to do with anything? What?
Russians launch a surprise winter offensive against Ottoman Turkish forces. 6 weeks later, Russian troops occupy the city of Erzurum. In April, they capture the Black Sea port of Trebizond. Meanwhile, the British transport 2 motorboats to Lake...
The freaking Caucasus front, that was the front that surprised me the most when I reacted to my World War One front lines reaction. I didn't even know that the Russians were like really like pushing the Ottomans deep in that front, bro. Check out my World War One reaction video after this if you want to.
Tanganyika in Africa.
Oh, they
finally arrive after a 10,000-mile trip by sea and land, and help the British seize control of the strategic lake from local German forces.
The Germans in Africa,
the German Cameroon.
The whole African campaign is just freaking like, oh my gosh, dude, like, they were basically cut off from Germany and they couldn't really, like, do anything, which is hilarious because at the start of World War One, everyone signed a convention basically saying, hey, let's not get our colonies involved in this. Let this just be a European thing, right? And nobody, and I mean nobody, like,
German troops besieged on Mora Mountain for 18 months finally surrender to the Allies. It marks the end of the Cameroon campaign.
Verdun. I actually made a reaction to this by Armchair Historian.
On the Western Front, the Germans unleash a devastating assault on the French fortress town of Verdun. German General Erich von Falkenhayn knows France will defend this symbolic town to the last man. His plan, in his own words, is to bleed France white in its defense.
This photo is fake. This photo is fake. This is not a real photo.
It is the strategy of attrition. Verdun becomes one of the most terrifying battles of the war. A mincing machine, where infantry divisions are destroyed almost as fast as they can be fed into the line.
Oh my gosh, that's horrible.
In Britain, 1 million men have already volunteered for military service. But the government realizes it won't be enough. Britain becomes the last major power to introduce conscription.
Yeah.
That spring on the West...
Britain is very interesting. Britain, their policies were very, very intriguing to say the least. In that the British always focus on their navy rather than troops. Even now today, the UK, the number of people in the British Army today is very low, like 70,000 active personnel, I think.
On front, British troops are the last to be issued with steel helmets. The nature of trench warfare produces a high proportion of head wounds. The German Stahlhelm, The French Adrian helmet and the British Mark I steel helmet offer limited protection from shell splinters and shrapnel.
Limited is the key
Neutral
word.
Portugal has been cooperating with the British, which seems to offer the best chance of holding on to her African colony, Portuguese Angola. On the 9th of March, Germany retaliates by declaring war on Portugal.
What? What? Germany, why would you do that? What? What are you gonna do to Portugal? What?
On the Eastern Front, Russia launches an attack near Lake Nara to relieve pressure on the French at Verdun, but it's a disaster. There are 100,000 Russian casualties, and the attack fails to divert any German troops from the fighting at Verdun.
Oh, bro, that's so bad. That is so bad. Dude, that's like almost half the population of Barbados. Holy crap, 100,000.
Republicans launch an armed revolt against British rule. It becomes known as the Easter Rising, and is put down after 6 days of street fighting.
I've heard about this in my World War One front lines reaction. I was so confused. I didn't know Easter Rising happened during World War One. Oh, the Arab Revolt. This.
In the Middle East, after a 5-month siege, British forces at Kut surrender. General Townsend leads 9,000 British and Indian soldiers into captivity. About half later die from starvation or disease.
Oh, yo. Oh, damn. Okay, the Ottomans didn't treat their prisoners nice. Okay.
Britain wants Arab support in its fight against the Ottoman Empire, so it's promised Arab leaders an independent Arab state after the war. But now, Britain and France secretly signed the Sykes-Picot Agreement, planning after the war to divide the Middle East into British and French zones of control.
Alright, so let's talk about this, right? Technically speaking, the Arabs did kind of sort of got their Arab state, sort of, which is now Saudi Arabia. Technically, yes, they did. They did it. They got it. It's just that the British and the French lied to them about how much that they were going to get. So technically, you could say that the British kept their promise. And not only that, but the Arabs knew that the British and the French had this agreement. The Arabs just thought that if they just got enough credit, that they would be able to negotiate a bit. So it's not that the Arabs were like left in the dark or anything.
Unaware of this deal, Hussein bin Ali, Sharif of Mecca, leads the Arabs in revolt against Turkish Ottoman rule.
But the thing is that they were kind of aware of this.
Seize control of the holy city. On the Italian front, Austro-Hungarian forces launch a surprise attack at Asiago. Italian defenses give way. Austro-Hungarian troops are poised to break through into northern Italy. That month in the North Sea, the German High Seas Fleet clashes with the British Grand Fleet at the Battle of Jutland.
The Battle of Jutland.
In the only major naval battle of the war, the British suffer heavier losses, but claim victory as the German fleet withdraws.
The British suffered heavier losses? I think I watched a video on this, but he claimed that the Germans were the ones who suffered heavier losses. I don't know, I might make a reaction to that because I forgot most of the details of that. Because I heard that the Germans, when they came back, they claimed victory. When the British came back, the British claim victory. Okay, if the British suffered heavier losses, I can see why the Germans claim victory now.
Does not re-emerge from its base for the rest of the war.
That's a very cool photo. Push, what is this? Let's see.
For the summer of 1916, the Allies have planned major simultaneous offensives against the Central Powers, from east and west. Now they are needed more than ever to relieve pressure on the French at Verdun and the Italians at Asiago. The Russians launched their attack first. On the Eastern Front, General Alexei Brusilov has carefully maintained the element of surprise. His troops break through the enemy lines, in some places advancing 60 miles and taking 200,000 prisoners.
Brusilov offensive, I know this
brilliant, though costly Russian
This is one of my most known World War I offensives.
As the Central Powers are forced to redeploy troops from other fronts to shore up the line.
But Russia was completely destroying Austro-Hungarian Empire. But to be fair, the Austro-Hungarian Empire was so bad. They were so bad. I don't even know like how to rank the Austro-Hungarian Empire because they were like awful, like dog water. You know what I mean? But they were also just like nowhere near good. Like they were like below mid-tier, I would probably say.
At sea, British cruiser HMS Hampshire, en route to Russia, hits a mine and sinks off Orkney. Among the 650 dead is Britain's iconic Secretary of State for War, Lord Kitchener.
Oh.
3 days later, in the Adriatic, Italian troop ship Principe Umberto is sunk by a German submarine.
Alright, so I was trying to figure this out, right? Why are the Germans not really trying to like use their submarines to like sink allied shipping? Not shipping, but like allied warships. I was trying to figure that out. Let's see.
It's the deadliest sinking of the war, with 1,900 lives lost. On the Western Front, Britain and France launched their major summer offensive, the Battle of the Somme. Hopes are high for a breakthrough, but the first day is a disaster. A long Allied artillery bombardment fails to knock out German defences, and waves of British infantry are cut down by machine gun fire as they advance into no man's land. In the space of a few hours, the British suffer 57,000 casualties, a third.
Oh, holy crap, 57 in a couple of hours? In a couple of hours? Oh, wow. 57,000.
Third of them killed. It's the worst day in the history of the British Army.
Okay, now I see why this is so infamous in the British Army.
And the battle will rage for another 5 months.
No, Romania joins the war only to get pummeled.
Encouraged by the Russian advance, Romania joins the Allies. But despite an initially successful advance into Transylvania, Romania quickly faces a counter-offensive from German, Bulgarian, and Austro-Hungarian forces.
I don't know what Romania was thinking.
The Allied force at Salonika tries to support Romania by launching their own offensive towards Monastir.
Bro, why was the Allies in Greece? Isn't Greece technically a neutral country? Oh my god, I feel like someone freaking explained this to me. I don't know if I'm like going crazy, but why was the Allies in Greece? I could have sworn that Greece was a neutral country. Right? Someone please explain that to me. How come the Allies were able to be in Greece when Greece is technically a neutral country?
With Serbian troops in the lead, there are small gains, but dogged Bulgarian resistance prevents a breakthrough.
But Bulgarians are such ultra-giga trash for holding that front by
themselves. General von Falkenhayn finally calls off the attack at Verdun. The French army has honored their commander General Nivelle's promise. Ils ne passeront pas. They shall not pass. But victory comes at a terrible price. 365,000 casualties.
Oh my gosh.
The Germans lose almost as many. Verdun remains one of the bloodiest battles in human history.
Human history? Really? Human history? Like, I was gonna say, that's well over the population of Barbados, right? The population of Barbados is 280,000 people. Friggin', oh my gosh. Plus 336,000 people in casualty. Oh my gosh, that's terrible. Let's continue.
For his defeat at Verdun, Falkenhayn is sacked, and Germany's heroes of the Eastern Front, von Hindenburg and Ludendorff, take command in the west. Meanwhile, the Battle of...
Wait, didn't Ludendorff and like the other guy, didn't these people technically become like dictators of Germany in a way? Like, I heard that the Kaiser basically was sidelined despite the fact that he got the blame for like everything. And it was those guys who were basically calling the shots.
The song continues. Near the village of Flers, the British introduce a new weapon they hope can break the deadlock of the trenches.
Tanks, isn't it?
It is called the tank.
Ah, yes.
But despite some small successes, the first tanks are too few in number and too prone to mechanical failure to make any real impact. On the Eastern Front, Russia's Brusilov offensive comes to an end. Casualty estimates vary wildly, but it's clear both sides have suffered catastrophic losses. Neither the Russian nor the Austro-Hungarian army ever fully recovers.
That is some
on the Italian front, heavy fighting rages throughout the Austrian as Italian forces make repeated, costly assaults against Austro-Hungarian positions along the Isonzo.
Oh, dude, the Battle of Isonzo is such a meme. It's such a meme, bro. This has to be like the most fought place like ever. There's no way this isn't like, this has to be placed in the Guinness Book of World Records for the most fought place.
The river. The Battle of the Somme comes to an end amid autumn rain and mud. The Allies have advanced 10 miles at the cost of 600,000 casualties.
Oh my gosh. 10 miles for 600,000 casualties? What? Oh my goodness. To give you an idea of how much that is, Barbados is 21 miles long. Or is it 21 miles wide? I think it's 21 miles long. And I think it's like 14 miles wide. Dude, they basically like advanced like half the length of Barbados for 600,000 people. Almost way more than double the casual. Well, is it double the well, almost like double the freaking like population. Oh my gosh, dude, that's horrific. That is
German
so horrific.
Are about 450,000.
Oh my gosh, dude.
The Allies reassure themselves that this is a winning strategy. Because at this rate, Germany will run out of men first.
Really? How? Bro, what in the world? Oh my god, so this is basically like, who can kill the most men before the other side run? Oh my gosh, dude. Like, I know war has like killing and whatnot, but war is supposed to be like, technically war is supposed to just be like, hey, I have a dispute with you, let's go fight over it. And you know, some people are gonna die, but now this is just alright, who's gonna kill everyone first? Hey, I mean, technically, I mean, that's a part of war too, you know, because if you don't have an army, you can't fight and whatnot, whatever.
Meanwhile, disaster engulfs Romania as the country is overrun by the Central Powers. Romanian forces suffer 250,000 casualties.
I don't know what Romania was thinking.
Its army take position alongside the Russians on the Eastern Front.
Romania, what were you thinking?
Franz Joseph, Emperor of Austria since 1848, dies. He is succeeded by his son, Karl. In Britain, Prime Minister Herbert Asquith is forced from office and succeeded by David Lloyd George, while General Joffre is replaced as French Commander-in-Chief by General Nivelle, who promises victory through bold, aggressive action. Amid the comings and goings, U.S.
Low-key though, France had drip though. French World War I uniforms, drippy. I love the hat. The freaking hats that the French used in World War I, that was so drippy. I love it. Low-key, France, World War I drip is low-key underrated. I mean, the German uniforms are just like, they were just overall just super sexy,
President
man.
Woodrow Wilson's attempts to mediate a peace settlement come to nothing. Neither side
Bro, it's not
is
like he
willing
was
to
a
make
Jesus figure,
concessions.
bro.
Epic History TV.
Alright, that was a good one. That was a good one. Check out these videos that are appearing on your screen right now. If not, go check out my channel for my other reaction videos. And if you have any suggestions, leave it in the comments below. If you like the video, make sure to like the video before you leave if you enjoyed it, because you came all the way to the end. And yeah, I'll see you next time.